y'all doing?
I was just sitting here getting us some buffalo tongue for supper tonight and getting ready to make an evening of it.
Cool.
What you up to?
I was just going for a walk. I was wondering if y'all could tell me about Hugh Glass. Last time you told me about him in the Wolf Pawnee. Whatever happened to him?
Oh, well.
That was just the beginning of his adventures.
Yeah.
Hugh Glass. He had a lot more to go after that.
Things got real exciting after he joined up with old
Ashley.
Yeah, General Ashley.
General Ashley. Yeah, he left the Pawnees and went and got with them there guys to head up the stream. Actually, Ashley wanted him pretty bad because he knew the area and that, so he was pretty good. So.
Well, and he had connections with the Pawnee and all that, so that helped.
So he headed on upstream on trapping, but the only problem was the Rees were on the warpath.
Yeah.
And they were scattered all up and down that river, determined to take any white guys out. So they were on pretty fast.
They started off with about 30 men, if I remember right, somewhere around there. But they got attacked once by the Rees. They even got attacked by the Mandan.
Yeah, and the Mandans are normally friendly, but somebody messed them up and got them all riled up, and so they got attacked by the Mandans, lost a bunch of guys. Almost half of their group.
In one of them attacks, Hugh actually took a lead ball in the thigh.
Yeah, but it didn't bother him too much. He kept on going.
Yeah, he managed to get it healed up.
And then further on up, he kept wandering off away from the group, like he does all the time. He was after some plums?
Plums.
Plums, that's what
he said. He was after some plums.
And
ran into a sow grizzly and her 2 cubs.
There's nothing meaner than a sow grizzly and her 2 cubs.
Yep.
The guys heard him screaming and hollering, and gunshot.
And a gunshot.
And you only got 1 gunshot, and so they come running in there as quick as they could. But the time they got there, they found the 2 cubs, and they finished the 2 cubs off. But they found the bear dead and Hugh Glass dead, they figured.
Yep.
Both of them.
Then to their surprise, he wasn't quite dead. He is still breathing.
Yeah. But
man, he was in rough shape though.
I believe one of them said he was like torn to pieces.
Yep.
His scalp tore off. He had a slash on his throat where he was gurgling up blood every time he breathed.
Yeah, he was kind of half breathing through the
hole in his throat. His back was all tore up. Legs were tore up. Nothing was broke though. No broken bones.
No, I believe he did have a broken leg.
Broken leg? Okay, yeah, he could have broken legs. He probably bit hold of that.
Yeah.
That.
Oh, throwing him around and that.
But they figured he was a goner, so they just waited for a while and he kept on living. And then they patch him up as best they could.
Yeah, and they packed him along with them.
Oh yeah, made that travois and carried him on there for
2 days, I believe.
It was like a funeral procession.
Yeah.
Carrying this dead guy on there, figuring he's gonna die. But how many days you say they went?
I think it was 2.
2? I heard 3 or 4, but they packed him for a while till
might have been as many as 5.
They thought this ain't gonna work because remember the Rees are on the warpath and they're moving slow and noisy, and that just ain't what you want to do in that country. You want to get out of there as quick as you can.
Yep.
Major Lassie was concerned about that, and so
he came up with a plan.
Yep.
And he offered to give $80 to any 2 men that was
each. $80 a piece.
$80 each, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of money back then.
That was like 3 months worth of wages.
If anybody would stay back and wait to bury him.
And bury him.
That's all he had to do, and they figured that was easy money because he's going to be dying any minute.
You would think.
Yeah,
but then there wasn't a lot of them that just jumped right up on it.
No, it was some dead silence there for a minute, I bet you.
Yeah.
Everybody looking at each other. But finally, you had a man and a boy.
John Fitzgerald and Bridges.
Bridges is what they called him. Bridges.
Yeah, Bridges.
Yeah. They biked up. They figured the boy was, 17 maybe?
No.
Younger than that.
18, 19, I believe.
18, 19?
Yeah.
He was still just a boy.
Yeah.
But they stayed, and you imagine how lonely they got when they were sitting there like me and you by the campfire, and saw the rest of the troop head out with the pack horses and everything. And
Yep.
you would just say it's me and you were laying there, and there's a dead guy waiting to die over here, and we just sit there.
And who knows when the Ree's gonna come over the hill and slaughter you.
Yeah, because any number of Indians, because the Mandans and everybody's on the warpath. Any Indian was,
they
especially two guys alone, they would take any Indian to take you out there. So they sat with him for quite a while, and they would give him a little water they could, and give him a little nourishment. They'd take some of those berries and crunch him up and feed him some of the berries because he couldn't chew or swallow very well. But
they had a nice spring there.
Yeah, a little spring there, and
they
sat there for a while,
they dug a grave so when he did die, they could just throw him in it quick and bury him up.
Head out, because every minute you're there, your life's in danger.
Yeah.
So they started getting a little nervous, and who knows which one broke first, but some people say it was Fitzgerald. He got a little nervous, and
well, he was the one that ended up with Hugh's rifle.
That's true.
So it probably was Fitzgerald.
But some say they saw some Reese moving around the area, and that really got them scared. But whatever it was, they decided that he was going to die anyway, and they were going to head out.
So they gathered up all his stuff.
Because you don't leave stuff with a dead man.
Yeah.
That had to vouch their story. If they wouldn't have had the stuff with him, they wouldn't have vouched their story. So got their stuff, and they headed out.
Yep. So they finally caught up with them.
Told their story.
Yeah, told their story.
That he died and they buried him. Got their money.
Yep, got their money.
Headed on up.
In the meantime,
Where were they heading for?
They were heading up to Fort Henry up on the Yellowstone.
Yeah, up on the Yellowstone.
Up on the Yellowstone.
To do for winter trapping.
Yep.
Yep. So they headed on up there, and Hugh Glass was fully conscious the whole time.
Yep.
He could hear him and everything, but he couldn't talk because his throat was all swollen up, slashed, where he couldn't talk. But
where the grizzly bear had ripped it open.
Yeah. Could you imagine just laying there watching those guys walk off and just lay there?
Can you imagine the anger he felt?
Yep.
Being abandoned like that.
It was enough anger. I bet you that's what probably got him going, because he sat there and he could get water out of the spring, and he could get those berries and eat them.
Get a few berries.
And he doesn't know how long he was there because he drifted in and out of consciousness. He did say he never was alone. He had visitations and that, and he was, but he was always drifting in and out of consciousness.
Well, he did have a rattlesnake come to visit him.
Yeah, that's true. He had a rattlesnake. Woke up one time and the rattlesnake was curled up next to him, trying to keep warm.
So all he had was he grabbed a sharp rock and dispatched the rattlesnake and
took its head off and threw it away from him and
chopped it up in little pieces and
mushed that in with the berries.
Yeah, started eating the meat.
And that got him going on nourishment until
nothing like a raw rattlesnake to get you going.
Yeah, to get you up going, and he got to where he could crawl.
Yeah.
And some days he'd just crawl a few yards. And each time he'd go a little further and a little further till he was crawling and covering a little bit of country.
Yep. Well, he really came across something good when he seen that wolf pack kill that buffalo calf.
Yeah, and he sat there and waited for them to get their fill. And then when he figured they weren't hungry no more, he crawled up and scared them away.
Yep.
That was pretty gutsy there. The wolf did take him.
Bluffed him and scared the wolf pack off, and then he was able to finish off the
raw buffalo
calf.
Like raw buffalo calf to get your energy up and going.
Especially, getting, the liver and that kind of stuff, because he had lost so much blood that he needed all that extra
blood, build up his
blood
again,
and that going.
Yeah, he's got to get that going again. Then he got eventually to where he could get up and he could take he was actually using sticks and that crutches to walk along with.
Yeah, kind of made him a crutch out of sticks.
And he was covering good ground compared to what he was before. A few yards. He was covering a couple of miles every day.
Yeah.
How far did he have to go? You remember how far?
Well, he was headed to Fort Kiowa.
Headed to Fort Kiowa.
From the Grand River.
Grand River, and he had to head back.
That was well over 200 miles. I'm thinking it was like 250 miles.
250 miles and you
But
start crawling.
And he was crawling that there.
Yeah, but he didn't get discouraged. He just kept going and got the crutches, and then kind of a turn of fatal luck, or it could have been disastrous when those Indians came and found him.
Yep. He got discovered by a group of Lakota.
And he figured he was a goner then because all the Indians were on the warpath.
And he couldn't outrun them. There's no way with as messed up as he was.
So he just stood there and took it as they come charging in down on him. Remember what those Indians thought when they saw him.
Oh, he must have been a sight. All covered in blood and scabs
Scars
and
and
ripped
scabs.
up and oh
Torn up.
man, he must have been quite the sight.
They felt pity on him,
Yep.
took him into their camp, nourished him, helped him get his strength back a little bit.
Yeah, nourished him up, took care of him for a little while.
He said they even built him a boat.
Yep, put him in a bull boat and sent him down the river.
Then he was making good time then.
Yep.
When
Fast
he-
as the river flows.
But when he got back to the fort and he walked in the fort, they had no clue who he was. He looked so mangled up and so famished and skinny, but he came on into the fort. He stayed there.
Wasn't very long. It was only a few weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. Came across a group that was heading upstream, and he says, "I'm joining you."
That revenge, that really was driving him.
Yeah.
So he was headed back for Bridges and Fitzgerald. But yeah, so he headed back upstream. Almost made it all the way up to the Yellowstone.
Except the group he was with got attacked by Indians.
Imagine that. and they were all pretty well butchered except Glass.
Well, the ones that did survive went back to the fort and told everybody that Hugh Glass had died again.
Yep. Yep. That's right.
But he this time he had a rifle and he had a knife. And
Yeah.
he said
So he was
he
in good
felt
shape.
like he was in the best he'd ever been. He says, with a rifle and a knife, I could do anything after what I'd been through. And so he headed on upstream by himself.
Made it up to Fort Henry, and they had actually moved on.
Yeah, they had gone on up, so he kept on tracking
So he
them.
just kept on, tracked them up further.
Further on up.
Finally caught up to them. I believe it was like New Year's Day, 1824.
Sounds about right. Could you imagine them sitting at camp celebrating New Year's and have him walk in, have
And
this dead man walk in?
Just walked in. Imagine the looks on their faces, especially old Bridges.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And-
that boy, he thought he was dead.
Luckily for Fitzgerald, he wasn't there.
Yep.
But Hugh Glass confronted Bridger, and it kind of changed Bridger's whole life.
They figured that Hugh figured that he had learned his lesson, and that he was going to have to live with that guilt for the rest of
Yeah.
his life. And so,
He says, if you're conscious and God can forgive you, so can I.
yeah,
And let him go.
Let him go. But
And
to
then
his,
he said, "Where's Fitzgerald?"
but to his dismay, Fitzgerald was going down the river when he was going up, and somewhere they crossed paths and didn't even know it. So, come February, there's another group headed down the river, and Hugh
He joins them,
He
heading-
joins up with them and headed back down the river.
To find Fitzgerald.
Made it down to the fort. I think it was Fort Williams.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. I
One of
can't
those forts.
remember.
Anyway,
One of them
Fitzgerald
forts.
had enlisted.
He had enlisted in the army. Well,
The army don't take lightly to killing their
yeah,
soldiers.
they wouldn't appreciate him killing one of their soldiers, but oh, that really
all the other soldiers and the officers.
took up a collection.
They looked down on Fitzgerald because of it,
Yeah,
though. But
they looked at him as some dirty, rotten coward.
yeah, he didn't live that down long. But yeah, they even took up a collection. They liked him so much.
And he still had old Hugh's rifle.
Yep, Hughes took the rifle from him.
So he got his rifle back anyway.
Plus got a collection
Yep.
from the army guys, and he went back up trapping.
Yep. Headed back up the river.
Back up river. Yeah. Yeah, he did a lot of trapping that. He actually lived to be quite an old guy for those days. He's
Yeah.
late 60s.
50s maybe.
Yeah, somewhere. He's an old man. When
Somewhere in there.
the Blackfeet finally got him.
Yep.
He's crossing a dry riverbed with another guy, and the Blackfeet surrounded him, and whoever that Blackfoot was that took that rifle didn't realize what that rifle had been through and
Yep.
what he had. But quite an amazing man.
Just shows to show you what determination will do.
How much you can push a body through if you're determined.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, is that tongue done yet?
Close enough. You want to try some?
Yeah, fish it out of there.
Get my lid off here. Ooh, easy boy.
Ooh, yeah, you might have something there.
Don't drop her in the fire.
There's your piece.
Ah, thanks. Nothing better. Nothing better.
Oh, yeah, that is good.
Want some? This is good tongue. Ah.